process to become a 911 dispatcher can be intimidating, including the standard practice of the panel interview. The format that has you showing up to sit in a room full of strangers, answering questions, trying to land the job. It can be scary and intimidating. I know this because I've sat through quite a few. One of the reasons why I created this video, to tell you about my 6 steps to seal the deal at your next panel interview. I have also created a 17-page workbook called Winning Over the Panel that you can grab anytime at theraspydispatcher.com. We talk about these 6 steps that we're going to go over in this video. It includes 50 panel sample questions for the interview process, 10 sample answers, as well as 10 questions you could ask at your next panel interview. So let's go ahead and dive into these 6 steps. Step 1, follow directions. You are being evaluated from the moment you hit submit on that application. It doesn't start when the background starts, it starts right at that moment. So be aware of that. Make sure to read any correspondence that is sent to you about this job, about this process, including that information notification email saying you have the interview. If they say to arrive X amount of minutes early, do that. If they say don't arrive early, do that. I even had one that told me not to bring a smartwatch into my interview. So make sure to read that correspondence and pay attention to any directions that it tells you to do. Because if you show up doing the opposite, they're already going to be seeing that you can't follow directions, which is not a good look for you going into this interview. The point is, be able to read and understand what's being asked of you. Step 2, pad folio prepared. This is something that I do, but of course is not required for a successful interview. But I always bring a pad folio. Inside the pad folio is usually a notepad with basic lined paper, as well as a little slit for me to keep copies of my resume. Yep, I keep multiple copies inside of the pad folio of my resume and that I am prepared to hand out at the start of my interview. I also use it to keep track of who the heck is talking during the interview, and we're going to go over that next. Step 3, know who's in the room. If you get the names of the people who are in your interview prior to the interview, awesome. If not, that's okay as well. Here's a little trick that I use during my interviews if needed. Hopefully, your interviewers have some sort of name tag or identification that you can refer to during your interview. But if for some reason they do not have that prepared, don't worry, you will be. In your pad folio is that lined paper that I told you about earlier. It's a place where you can take notes, jot down things that you want to ask for clarification on, or what I do at the start of my interview, if there is not a nameplate in front of those folks who are interviewing me, is I write their name in the order that they are introducing themselves at the top of my paper. So when I look down at my sheet, it says Ashley is in the top left corner. Next to Ashley is Billy, and so on and so forth. It's just a way for me to reference their names so I don't have to focus on remembering them because I am focusing on a lot of things during this process. So if I can free up one thing just by jotting down their names quickly at the start of the interview, I make sure to do that. Step 4, materials. I always make sure to bring at least 5 copies of my resume to my interviews. I feel like 5 is a good number typically for a panel setup. If they don't provide the number of folks you're going to be interviewing with, having more is always better than having less. Step 5, be professional as well as comfortable. Wear something that you feel good in. Now that doesn't mean wear sweats. I love a good sweat outfit, but you want to look professional and feel comfortable in this setting. Slacks and a dress shirt, suit if that's your vibe, a dress that you're comfortable in, a nice top with a nice pair of pants. The point is to look good and be comfortable. You don't want to be sitting in something that you don't feel comfortable existing in During this interview, it's already stressful enough. Grab something that makes you feel good, that looks nice, and that you're comfortable sitting in a room with a bunch of strangers trying to land a job. Step 6, questions. We get more in depth into these questions in our other video, 5 questions you should be asking at your panel interview. So if you haven't checked that out, make sure to do so. We also discuss 10 questions you should be asking in that Winning Over the Panel workbook that you can grab at the raspydispatcher.com. But for the sake of this video, step 6, questions. You are the most important part of the process. Figuring out if this department is a good fit for you should be most important. And asking questions helps you figure that out. So usually there's a part in the interview process where they ask you, do you have any questions for us? Yes. Yes, you do. Even if you're not sure, you do, because you've watched my videos and can come up with a couple of questions that'll help you look good to the panelists, as well as answer questions that you have about your potential new employer and new position. Thank you so much for checking out our video, Panel Interview Tips and Tricks. Make sure to check out the raspydispatcher.com for more of our resources, including our Winning Over the Panel workbook that is jam-packed with 17 pages of tools, instructions, questions that'll all help you prepare to be successful in your next interview. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and good luck in the rest of your process. Stay raspy, everybody.